Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to session number 7, Business Strategy. I hope you all are doing well. Let's go ahead and start the class. So today we're going to talk about international strategy. We've covered internal, external analysis, SWOT analysis, so to speak, in the past couple sessions. Today we're going to talk about international strategy. So you all know that like you're living in a global like strategized business world where where you are located, no matter what city or what region in the world, what country, you've been dealing with customers worldwide. So because of the e-commerce, like internet commerce or like worldwide web commerce, nowadays it's possible for you to do communication, to do business with anybody, anywhere in the world. So people can request or order stuff online and view the product, and the producers and service providers, or mostly product providers, they will send the products from wherever they are located to the destination. So it's very important to understand, or at least have a good understanding of international strategy, because any company needs to have a very specific, well-drafted, design and ordered international business strategy to be able to cover and manage their international businesses. So we do have a course provider called International Business, but in this subject today, we briefly cover the international strategy, the opportunities and outcomes of international strategy. So first of all, identifying the international opportunities. The first thing that comes to mind is the increased market size. When you are dealing with a bigger, larger, market due to connecting to the world out there, you are increasing the market size. So you're dealing with a bigger, larger market where you have more customers available to you. You have like more opportunities out there. There are more orders. Let's say you are. Please do not forget to mute your microphones, because it will be very disturbing. Everyone, please mute your microphone. Okay. So okay. So increased market size, we talked about it. Return on investment would be more, because you have a higher chance of getting return on investment when you have a bigger chunk size. I've been repeating myself and asking you several times to mute your microphones. Please make sure when you log into the class, your microphone automatically activates. So make sure you mute that. Okay. So return on investment, we talked about the bigger size of the market because of connecting to the international and global business. So you have a higher chance of return on investment, because your return on investment will be more because you're dealing with more customers and bigger market. Economies of scale and learning as well. So when you're selling more, we discussed about this concept that when you're selling more, your cost of producing those products will be less, because this way you'll be able to actually your overhead costs will be roughly about the same, and the only thing that will change is because your profit is more, then your cost will be reduced. So producing more actually gives you less of a cost at a certain point, because every extra product will cost you much less than what you charge. Let's say if you normally for the break even, we say, let's say if you produce 100 products, then you'll get to the break even, or 50 products, right? So the product 51 will not cost you the same as the product number 1, because your overhead cost, your electricity, your bill, everything is already covered with selling those 50. So the new product will only cost you 1/5 or 1/6 of the cost of the first one. So because you're charging the same amount, then you're making more money, and your cost is going to be less and less. Okay. Then advantages in location as well. So location is very important. Like when it comes to business strategy and business success, they say there are 3 things that are important in every business, and it's location, location, and location. It's a very common, famous phrase. So location is very important. Well, where you're located and the way you're located, like Starbucks, when people consider Starbucks and try to understand their business model, they see how they strategize and locate their shops and stores at locations that are very strategically at the reach of every customer. So same thing when you're internationally growing. You're talking about location, and you're talking about where you locate your stores. Then exploring resources and capabilities. So there are 3 types of international strategy. We have multi-domestic strategy, we have global strategy, and we have transnational strategy. So we have 3 types of international strategies that we'll cover today and discuss about. And then finally, we have several modes of entry. Modes of entry meaning different ways of entering the markets. Like when you're going to a new market, it could be a new city, new region, new continent, new country. You use all these different ways in order to get into the market. You can export, like the very regular common way. You can license another company to actually distribute your products or sell your services. Strategic alliances, you make an alliance with another company, or acquisition, you acquire another branch. When you're going, let's say, to a foreign country, you will acquire another a branch there, or another company there, and via that company you actually get to reach to customers. And then establishment of a new subsidiary. So that's also another possible way for you. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, so increased market size is when you are trading and doing business internationally. I mean, it's a common result, if you will, that when you're dealing with more regions, then your access to more customers will be achieved, and you will acquire access to more customers. So then you will have an increased market size. Let's say if you were to only do business with customers and clients in Kabul, you have a certain number of clients that are there. But if you are able to increase the market size, meaning that you can actually have access to other regions, like other than Kabul. You can do business with the whole country, and even go beyond that with the whole countries in the region, and then all the countries worldwide. So the number of customers that you can reach will be much more. So that's how you're increasing your market size. You're dealing with a bigger market. You're part of a bigger market. And then return on investment is when you're dealing with more customers. Somebody's microphone is not mute, and please make sure it's mute. It's really disturbing. Okay, so return on investment. So basically, what you put in, you will get more when it comes to return on investment than you are. When you're putting, when you're investing, when you're actually producing that product, you will get more returns because of your maximized reach to the market. So hope that helps regarding your question, Mr. Samet. Any other questions? Absolutely. Okay, so let's move forward to the next slide. Okay, so opportunities and outcomes of international strategy. So modes of entry, we talked about exporting, licensing, and strategic alliance. So exploring, strategic alliance, acquisition, establishment of a new subsidiary, management problems and risks. So management problems and risks. So you're talking about how you deal with management problems and risk management at these different levels. So when you are, let's say, dealing with exporting or licensing or strategic alliance, then you need to deal with the risk management, because there's always risk involved when you're expanding the market, when you're dealing with a bigger size of a market. You're actually dealing with higher risk, because the risk and the problems that will pop up will actually increase as well. So you got to manage those. And then finally, a strategic competitiveness outcomes is when the better performers and innovation are obtained. Okay, so when you're able to manage the problems and the risk, you'll be able to do a better performance. And then I don't know how many times I've repeated and asked it repeatedly. Please mute your microphones. I mean, I want you guys to mute your microphones, because it's really disturbing unless you want to talk. So make sure your microphones are muted. Very simple. Okay, so better performance is the result of the right management. And then we have a question about new subsidiary. Subsidiary is actually a subcategory of your company that you established there. So when you actually establish a new subsidiary, you're able to establish your reach in the area that you're going to do business. So it's like a daughter company, the company that's completely or partly owned by your company, and basically then you will be able to do business that way. You will send their stocks. I mean, you sell your stocks. You can be part of your corporation or your LLC, and basically you will be the parent company, and those will be your daughter smaller company. So you'll basically give out your stocks or bonds, and that's how they will start. You will start growing. So some of the companies it's very noisy when you do not serving the class. This is not right. We've discussed that several times. Okay. Yes, please, Mr. Kakar, if you could also send that message in Pashto and other languages also, Dari, and maybe that will help.
برادران عزیز، همه ما شما صدای مرا میشنوین و خواهرایی که هموجه هستن ما صدای فامیل میشنویم و صنف ما تقریبا همه همکارا دسترب میشه و
and the subsidized smaller daughter companies will be under control of the parent company. Okay, so let's move forward. Motivations for international expansion. So we want to talk a little bit more about increasing the market share. So when domestically market lacks some sufficient support, it's always a great idea to maximize that reach by connecting to the bigger market. So as the example that I brought in the beginning, when you're just dealing with the Kabul market, you're limited with the clients and customers available in Kabul. But then you maximize that, and now you're dealing with clients in the whole country. You have increased and maximized your market size and market share. Or even, let's say, you are just a small shop, or like you have a couple shops in one city, and then when you add more shops to different neighborhoods, again you're increasing your market share. So your reach to the customers is more. Customers do not have to travel all the way to your only shop or your only couple shops. Now you have more. So then return investment. We talk about large investment projects may require global markets to justify the capital outlay. And then weak patent protection in some countries implies that firms should expand overseas rapidly in order to preempt imitators. So it is also a very common topic and concept in business. When you put a bigger chunk size of investment, your return will be bigger. So you'll reap the benefit as much as you see the plan. So when you are putting more investment and you are adding to the market size, the next benefit you will get would be higher return on investment. We call it ROI. Also, this implies that you're actually stopping other companies and other competitors to imitate and copy what you do, because you yourself are providing the original version of your product over there. So there's no need for a copy or a copycat. There are people there that, there are customers there that they can come and get the product from you yourself. They don't have to just get it from the copycat. So that's also a very good strategy. So motivations for international expansion, economies of scale or learning. So expanding size or scope of market helps to achieve economies of scale. We just talked about it, as well as marketing and R&D or distribution. So the economies of scale will help you minimize the cost, as I mentioned, because your marketing is pretty much the same, your research and development is pretty much the same. So you're just adding to the number of products you send out there, and then new products like product number N+1, then that certain product will not cost you anything, and it's just the profit for you because you have already achieved and you have already got the cost and the overhead cost covered by selling the number N product. So from product number 1 to number N, you need to cover your overhead cost. And product number N+1, let's say product number 51 or whatever product, is a product is not going to cost you anything. It's just a profit. So the economies of scale is also a very important topic. You need to understand that in your businesses. You need to understand that when you're dealing with production. You need to know that you need to sell a certain number of products. So you got to, that also helps you with the pricing. You got to price your products in a way that you will cover your overhead costs selling not all the products you can, but some partial reasonable number. So the extra numbers would be only profit for you. Then you can spread the cost over a larger sales base. So the larger sales base, basically your cost will be reduced for you. I mean, not necessarily that you got to share that with the customers, but when you're selling, because let's say you have fixed costs and variable costs. Your fixed costs are normally those costs that are much more than the variable costs. So your fixed costs should be covered by selling certain numbers, and the variable cost is not that much compared to fixed costs. So you got to make sure that the addition of the fixed cost plus variable cost, when divided by the number of products you sell, you know, it will be less and less as you sell more products. So then increase the profit per unit. We just talked about it. You will increase the profit per unit you sell. And location advantages. Low-cost market may aid in developing a competitive advantage. So also that's very important. When you go to a low-cost market, you might be able to actually develop a competitive advantage over there. And then you may achieve better access to raw materials. Like the reason people outsource to China, we've talked about this concept before, is because they get access to materials, lower cost of labor. Yeah, low cost market like China. And then key customers, energy, like Malaysia, like major brands, like Nike, even Apple. They say, at the back of this product, you'll see it says, designed in California, and designed and assembled in California, made in China. So it's made in China because they want to reduce the the cost by saving on the on raw materials because it's cheaper. So then again, we have international corporate level strategy. We have the global, we have the transnational, and we have the multi-domestic. So we have these three certain strategies for international corporate level strategies. Then we have, if you see that the need for global integration on the left-hand side, and you see the need for local responsiveness at the bottom. So for the global strategy, you have the highest level of global integration. When you want to strategize globally, when you want to go global, with the global strategy. Global strategy will give you and equip you with the highest and maximum integration with the global. Like major standardized brands, as when you look at them, you'll see that they are pretty standardized. Like McDonald's, they have global strategy to a very a high extent that they globally integrate. Then at the same time, you have transnational strategy and multi-domestic strategy. Multi-domestic strategy is where you focus on the domestic common needs. So certain companies and products domestically they change a lot because they want to tailor to the domestic market. And global integration, Mr. Nuristani, is when you globally integrate, when you mix with the global requirements and needs. When, let's say, from your origin country, you are going to country X. Let's say from Afghanistan, you're sending and producing and exporting your products to Malaysia, let's say to Southeast Asia, Singapore, Thailand, Taiwan, all those countries, right? So for you to globally integrate, you got to bring your standards, your product shapes, and every aspect of your product, from the packaging, from the size, from the following the international standards for packaging, for producing, for the quality. If let's say it's the juice should follow all the standards for the global standards. So you're actually globally integrating. You're becoming you're going at a global level to satisfy all these different markets. A lot of times, when you're exporting, the target market has a higher standard. So you need to actually cover everything. So you're safe in that regard. So that's how you globally integrate. You are actually adding extra features or removing those features that are very local and internationally are not very common. You're becoming as neutral and international as possible. So in that case, your main goal is not necessarily to export your original product with all the local aspects attached to it, but you are actually removing those that are not common outside the original market and actually adding features that makes it more internationally standardized. So that's how you do the global strategy. So let's say when it comes to food, let's say McDonald's, it has the same kind of taste, the same kind of products worldwide. That's the global integration, because it doesn't matter which market, you will have that same Big Mac with the same look, with the same ingredients. So that's how they internationally integrate it. So let's say if it's a local type of restaurant, if you are focusing on your spice and ingredients that are local, then you're not much integrating. Whereas it is supposed to be, your focus is supposed to be on the international side. Okay. So let me just see. Okay, so I want to give you an example of what I mean by that. Okay. Mass customization, basically, it's a little bit different, Mr. Harwan. Mass customization, you mass standardization, because mass customization, you still are, it's more of a multi-domestic strategy because you customize wherever you go. Let's say McDonald's does multi-domestic strategy also, where where they go to target market. Let's say in Malaysia, they have the hot sauce served, and also the chicken porridge is common, where they don't sell it in U.S. in many other markets. So it's basically they adapt and customize whenever they go to a new market. But for global strategy, you try to standardize as much as possible, minimize any customization. So you try to set it at a standard level that is going to be the same no matter where you go. You try to remove those features that are only for a certain location and add certain features that are same for everywhere you go. And then transnational strategy is a hybrid approach, which is a mixture of these two. So you have a little bit of global strategy and then multi-domestic strategy. So companies like McDonald's basically use that transnational strategy. Exactly, I mean the same company, Mr. Harlan. So the same company is trying to have its same standard all around the world. So when you talk about Burger King, when you talk about these fast foods like chain fast foods, you're talking about exact same taste. So people they know what to expect. Let's say if you go to a foreign country and you're not sure what type of food they have, when you go to one of those big chains, you know what to expect. So there wouldn't be any surprises. So international corporate level strategy, to discuss that a little bit in more detail. The prices are also pretty much the same. Like they try to standardize as much as possible. I mean, they will be in different like currencies, of course. When you go to Malaysia, you pay in ringgit Malaysia. When you go to China, you pay in yuan. When you go to Australia, you pay in Australian dollar. But the prices, when you convert, I mean, we cover that in a course called International Finance or Corporate Finance. We cover how the prices are determined and all that. But generally speaking, prices should be pretty much the same. So according to the income that people make, when they do that ratio, and when you do the conversion, the price is pretty much similar to what an American would pay for a burger in, let's say, in U.S. compared to a person in another country according to their income. So it's pretty much the same. So type of corporate strategy selected will have an impact on selection and implementation of business level strategy. So it's important to understand that the type of the corporate strategy that you choose will actually have impact on the implementation of your business level strategies. Also, some corporate strategies provide individual country units with flexibility to choose their own strategy. So that's important when they're given the flexibility of choosing their own strategy. And then others dictate business level strategies from the home office and coordinate resources sharing across the unit. So sometimes the home office is the one who dictates the strategy, and other offices and branches just copy and follow. So in multi-domestic strategy, it's the strategy and operating decisions are decentralized to strategic business units in each country. So as you can see, in multi-domestic, you try to localize as much as possible. So you decentralize, and in that target market, target region, target business market, your branches or strategic business units, SBUs, will decide how to customize. So you tailor your products and services towards the local market of that destination. And business units in one country are independent from each other. So one country from the other, they're independent. They're not necessarily related to each other. And then you assume that markets differ by country and region. So you think that in one country you have a separate type of market and region, and in this other market and region you have a different one. So you are basically coming up with this assumption that for each market there is a different type of requirements and standardized. So that's when you come up with a multi-domestic strategy, because you're of the opinion that each market is different. You focus on competition in each market. So you focus on competition in each market. So market should be competitive, and each market should have its own, requirements for competition. And then prominent strategy among European firms due to broad variety of cultures and markets in Europe. A good example would be a multi-domestic strategy in European countries. So European countries, they're very close to each other and they do business because of the Eurozone. So, but at the same time, there are differences in culture. So they have to adapt this strategy because they just next market, next door is another country with another culture. So they try to actually adapt to those differences. And for your question, Mr. Shakur, multi-domestic strategy means that you're localizing your target market. So every single target market is a different type. You're adapting and customizing towards your target market requirements. and a good example is the Eurozone. And then the global strategy. Products are standardized across national markets. Your decisions regarding business level strategies are centralized as your home office. Absolutely. And then your strategic business units are assumed to be interdependent. So you see how different it is from the previous one. You see that they are actually following the home branch's decisions and the strategies. So the home branch is actually setting the rules and standards and check marks for every other branch. No matter wherever you are, they follow the same standards. You emphasize on economies of scale because you're having the same standard product being sold over and over. So you try to sell more to make more money. You often lack responsiveness to local market. There is also this lack of responsiveness to the local market. That's an important concept. So you don't respond to the local market requirements because you're just setting standards. Yeah, it has to be homogeneous. It has to be centralized. But for multi-domestic within the country, because of the cultural differences and regional differences, the products could be different. That's correct. You got it right. And then you require resource sharing and coordination across borders, which is difficult. It's difficult to do that. And then transnational strategy. Transnational strategy differently seeks to achieve both global efficiency and local responsiveness. So this is when you want to mix those two and get the benefit of both of them together. So it's difficult to achieve because of simultaneous requirement. At the same time, we want a strong central control for achieving the efficiency. At the same time, you're decentralizing to achieve local market responsiveness. So you have two goals that are actually against each other. So it's very difficult to manage and attain that because one side of you wants to centralize and one side of you wants to decentralize. And there's a clash or actually conflict within these two interests. And then you must pursue organizational learning to achieve competitive advantage as well. I mean, e-commerce, you could do either of the three with e-commerce. E-commerce just is electronic commerce. So it's just a medium. It's just a tool to do your business. But you could choose to do any of these three ways or strategies. These are strategies. E-commerce is a tool, is a medium of reach to the customer. So those are two separate matters, Mr. Zormati. You cannot say this strategy is e-commerce. E-commerce is what is used for all the three of the type of strategies we discussed. So when you want to go global, you use e-commerce. But then you choose what type of a strategy is according to your company's concepts, products, services, your management, your strategy department, and all that. So those are two separate matters. Any questions? Any questions before we go to the next topic? No questions? Okay, before we go to the next topic, because we are moving on to a totally new topic, I want to give you a task to make sure you guys are on the same page. So, explain each of the three international corporate strategies briefly and give an example for each of them. Okay, so I want you guys to explain each of these three international corporate level strategies and then give me an example of each of them. It could be the same company, and then you say, okay, company X
their global strategy is this, transnational strategy is this, and right now, yes, right now. And then multi-domestic strategy is this. Or it could be three separate companies you can explain. It can be your local companies or companies that you know, and give us an example. Okay? So take a couple minutes, think about it, and then we want to discuss it. I want to make sure everybody understands the topic and you're able to understand what company is doing what. You got to explain why. When you say company X is a global strategy company, you got to tell us why. You got to tell us because they do this, 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 so we understand you're covering the topic. So any questions on the topic, on the task? So take a couple of minutes. I want you guys to come up with those examples and a brief explanation, and we'll go from there. Okay, a couple minutes from now. Yeah, I did discuss that. I just want to see how you understood it. Yeah, no problem. Don't panic. Don't think that you got to be right. You can be wrong. That's the idea. I want you tell me what you know right now, because I have explained. I want to see what you understood, and feel free to just express yourself. Don't be afraid that you'll be wrong, because we are going to discuss and learn from there. So just release your ideas and don't hold back. Try to be as expressive as possible. Don't worry about it. Just tell us what you think, and we will try to fix it if there's any problems. So just express yourself.
Oh, shit. Okay. Okay, so let's see what we have in here. Okay. So send that in here. Okay. So global strategies applies when a company goes internationally and tries to decentralize. Like locally, they want to adapt their strategy. Okay. For Mr. Nuristani, I think you got it. For global strategy is when you centralize, not decentralize. So it's for multi-domestic when you decentralize. Because for global strategy, you centralize on your headquarters, and then all the other branches just follow that same standard. So you actually centralize, and you don't adapt your strategy to the local market. So Sony competing everywhere, so even in Afghanistan, so the product is the same in each market. So just the first part was not correct. So Mr. Kakar, you're right. Sony is a good example, and Panasonic. And then the global strategy applies when a company wants to launch its products for the international customers, like Toyota cars. Very important, very correct. Global strategy is when a company wants to decentralize. So again, Mr. Nuristani, no. It means the policy home. No, it's not correct. The global everywhere is the same. And then the best example is KFC in Afghanistan. They might provide people with halal food. So that's part of, as I said, sometimes companies choose all the three of the strategies at the same time. So KFC, when they're trying to provide halal food, it's not global, but it's a multi-domestic strategy. Then global event products, services, cross borders are the same. For Ms. Nadia, that's correct. Mr. Shakur, the international strategy applies when a company wants to respond to both local and national. Yeah, that's correct. Like Toyota call tailors the domestic customers in Japan and international. Okay, that's correct. Like the Toyota cars in the U.S. are bigger because Americans like big cars, so that's how Toyota cars and all those Japanese cars in their U.S. market, they are different and look different from other countries. Global strategy focus on decentralization. Again, Mr. Yusuf, this is not right. Global strategy focuses on centralization. You want to centralize. So global strategy,
X company is a food providing company, and it follows the global strategy because it provides the same food. So you see, they centralize. Multi-domestic is a manufacturing company that provides food based on the local response. That's correct. Global strategy is used to compete in an international market. That's correct. We're an international market need company. So international need company, and you are standardizing. Keep that in mind. Mr. Nuristani, transnational strategy is a home following the same strategy like Apple. Transnational strategy is a mixture of local and international. So that will be their difference. Okay, Mr. Kafari, global strategy is the organization treats the world as largely one market and one source of supply with little local variation. Importantly, competitive advantage is developed by largely on global class. Very well said, Mr. Kafari. That's great. From Mr. Kakar, multi-domestic strategy, they're trying to get more local responses. That's correct. Offering marketing strategy to match different national conditions. Nokia has designed different Nokia products for different markets. That's correct. Mr. Shakur, multi-domestic strategy applies to company decentralized. That's correct. Yes. Mr. Riazullah, the transnational strategy company that is registered and operates in more than one country. A transnational or multinational corporation has its headquarters and they operate in several countries. That's correct, Mr. Rafai. National strategy companies also sell their products in multiple countries across the globe. How the product is marketed in each country is different. That's correct. Mr. Nuristani, multi-domestic is a mixture of both. That's correct. A global strategy may be appropriate in industries where firms are faced with a strong pressure of cost production, but deep pressure for local responsiveness. Leader Akbari, global strategy, which treats people all over the world. And they treat them separately, Ms. Akbari. Domestic strategies require different distribution tactics than global business strategies. Each nation has different standards on taxation. Mr. Science other the international corporate level strategy when the firm of company competitive global level is example for company. International, that's correct. Global strategies require firms tightly coordinate their products and servicing, and then multi-domestic strategies apply for purposes like product customized. Each market decentralized control, local market. You're talking about multi-domestic, that's correct. Mr. Asif, international hotel could be a good example of global strategy. That's correct, like JW Marriott. A multi-domestic strategy by which companies try to achieve the maximum local responsiveness for customizing their product, offering marketing strategies to match different national conditions. That's very good. Well said, Ms. Akbari. Production, marketing, and R&D activities tend to be established in each major national market where business is done. So maybe you can give us some good examples also. Then Mr. Aryahi, global strategy is sends products to all over the world and want to lead the global market like Toyota or iPhone. Transnational strategy is that the company is newly growing and who is willing to expand its business from smaller or bigger city. So please understand that these strategies has nothing to do with the size of the company or newly set or oldness of the company. These are strategies that any company could choose. So multi-domestic strategy does not suggest that the company is small. Big companies use multi-domestic strategies or transnational strategies also. So that's for Mr. Aryai. Mr. Jahidullah, transnational strategy. Habib Golzar is a Pepsi company without transnational strategy because the company responds to the local market and focusing on integrated external market into the market, or companies in Afghanistan make carpet. Okay, so the domestic market as well as decentralized. Very good. Global strategy, crystal company like of mineral water, delivery product. Centralization. Very good, Mr. Jahadullah. Batan yogurt company recently in Afghanistan. Few yogurt company made investment. The local market.
Okay. Mr. Harun, multi-domestic strategy applied for product customized for each market, decentralized control, local decision, effective and large differences exist, advantages, product differentiation, local responsiveness, minimize political risk, minimize exchange risk. Very good, yes, good point. Philips is a good example of a company that followed a multi-domestic strategy. These result entrepreneurial spirit, products tailored to individual countries, and high quality. Very good. Yeah. Companies such as Sony and Panasonic versus global strategy. And Mr. Asif, international global strategy, apply for international standards. An international business structure where company global business activities are coordinated by corporation, interdependence between its head office, operational divisions. Very good, yes. And internationally located subsidies. Then multi-domestic strategy, South Airline, global strategies used for those. And company global strategy, strong distribution, financial control are applied for the purpose, product customers for each market, decentralized control, local decision making, effective. Very good, yeah, very good, Mr. Harun. When large differences exist between the countries, good. Philips is a good example of a company followed multi-domestic strategy. Global strategy used for products in the same countries. Yeah. same, and advantages of cost, coordinated activities, faster product development. Good point. Good example of a company that follows a global strategy with 3 results: strong global distribution, financial control, and ability to market quickly. Okay, so some of you did not answer yet. So, like the global strategy needs a certain standards that apply for companies to respond to international customers. Okay, so it seems everyone understood the case, so make sure you email it to me by next day. Everybody got the idea, that's great. So again, global strategy is where you centralize. When you have your headquarters sort of and Mr. Nuristani, as I mentioned, the size of the company has nothing to do with these strategies. It could be a huge company and use a multi-domestic strategy or transnational strategy. So as I said, you could use any of these strategies as you see fit and as you see there is a requirement for it. So it does not mean that if you're big, you only use global strategy. Global strategy is very common because it minimizes the risk. A lot of companies like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, they do that. But at the same time, they use transnational strategies or multi-domestic strategies as well. As I said, one company can choose all these 3 separate strategies at different times for different purposes. So the size has nothing to do with the type of strategy the company chooses. So okay, so now I want to show you a video clip which kind of summarizes what we just talked about, and I mean gives you more explanation. So let me just go ahead and share that with you.
While country selection is a major part of any international and global strategy, companies also need to dig deeper into their own resources. It's not just a matter of the biggest markets, the wealthiest customers, and the lowest trade risks. The company itself matters in international and global strategy. Its product range, its human resources, its brands, its finances, its fundamental strengths. But where do you start? How do you sort out the important factors? How does a company develop its international and global strategy? According to the United Nations Commission on Trade and Development, there were roughly 77,000 parent multinationals in 2005 with 770,000 affiliates worldwide. This means that many thousands of companies have found answers to these questions. They have developed, perhaps effectively, perhaps badly, international and global strategies. And companies have been accelerating their international expansion. For example, the total assets of foreign affiliates grew over 20 times between 1982 and 2005. And employment in those companies tripled over the same time. So how have the companies done this? Well, there's good news and bad news. The good news is that we have some strategic insights that we will explore in this film. The bad news is that there is no magic formula. It's all down to the individual company. There are no simple secrets in global strategy. But that doesn't mean that there are no strategic principles. And they start with two basic questions that every company moving internationally needs to answer. First, why do we want an international or global strategy? What is the purpose of such a strategy, and why will the benefits exceed the costs to our organization? Second, how are we going to develop our international or global strategy? What are the resources and capabilities of our company that will be effective beyond our home country? These two questions are connected together. It's difficult to answer the first question, why, without some idea of the answer to the second question, how. The reason relates to the special nature of international and global expansion. For most companies, international expansion comes after the company has become established in its home country. For example, Google began in the United States before extending its search engine technology to other countries, languages, and cultures. This means that a home-based company has already developed its resources and capabilities, at least in part, before it goes international. Its services, its factories, its brands, its people, its customers, and its finance are all broadly in place in the home market. Even for small companies, the why go global question is therefore not about a company starting from nothing. It's about why and how it wants to use its home-based resources outside the home country. Even a global brand like Volkswagen began by developing its product in its home country, Germany. Thus, the why and the how of international and global strategy are connected together. And we'll look at the why in more depth in part 2, and the how in more depth in part 3 of this film.
Okay, so that was a very interesting clip on what we just discussed, and basically it kind of summarized our discussion. And And also, I want to show you another one. Let me just sure.
And if you learn to compete with everyone from everywhere for everything, you might find globality offers you greater opportunities. A global maker of baby products invents a new product every 12 hours. An automaker owns 2 of the world's most prestigious luxury car brands and also makes the world's cheapest car. A telecom firm uses a novel distribution channel that achieves near-perfect deliveries without computers. What these 3 companies have in common is all are based in so-called rapidly developing economies, and they are putting the world of global business on notice, according to Globality, a new book by Harold Serkin, James Hemmerling, and Arindam Bhattacharya, colleagues from the Boston Consulting Group.
Globality is what comes after globalization. For the last 20 years, we've heard about the global economy emerging, but for the first time, we're seeing it happen. We're seeing companies from India, China, Russia, and Brazil emerging to become real competitors. That's the sign we've entered the era of globality.
It is no secret that a lot of European and American and also Japanese companies are in trouble, and the pressure, the heat is coming from emerging market multinationals. I think what has taken a lot of us by surprise is the speed at which the process is taking place. So it was to be expected that Indian firms or Chinese firms or Mexican firms would sooner or later become competitive threats. But 5 years ago, nobody was thinking about this. The global playing field is level.
In this report, we examine how the world's largest firms from the most powerful nations are increasingly being threatened by emerging challenges with lower costs, innovative products, and global ambitions. During the earlier phases of globalization, many companies saw going global as a choice. They could make a decision to participate in the phenomenon by operating in low-cost countries, seeking out foreign markets, and availing themselves of global supply chain resources, or not.
Going global is no longer a choice. If you don't capture the low costs, you will be at a significant cost disadvantage. If you don't capture the large markets, you will miss tremendous scale benefits. And if you don't capture learnings, you will remain behind your competitors. Going global, participating in the world of globality, is no longer a choice. A perfect example of a global challenger is Tata Motors. So the firm has been a huge auto producer in India since the 1960s. Few people out there develop the Nano car, a $2,500 car that has very few features. At the same time, what is further expansion in the automotive business? Significant implications for the world. On the low-end side, you see either Detroit or Nagoya or Stuttgart. Engineers would never believe that you could use a $2,500 car, but Tata does. On the high end, Tata's new brands, Jaguar and Land Rover, give them the ability to take their production into high quality and produce the versions of those cars at substantially lower cost. This is challenge of auto automotive.
A number of factors created these new competitive pressures. One example is governments that control more than half the world's population have been opening their economies to global competition.
Please mute your microphone. Please mute your microphone. Please mute your microphone. Mute your microphones, please. Okay, thank you.
And over the course of the late 80s and through the 90s, most developing countries opened up, moved towards market economies by privatizing and deregulating. and really saw that their way of development and growth was to participate in the world economy.
In 1969, the Brazilian government created Embraer to produce aircraft for the military and local airlines.
They were privatized in the 1990s, and again, this is another case of a company that has been learning how to use technology and how to develop it.
Given Brazil's size and distance between cities, regional jets are an ideal mode of transportation, so Embraer became an expert at producing these aircraft.
Airlines love regional jets. They're lower cost because of different work rules. And because they're smaller, they can serve markets that were uneconomical with large jets. On the other hand, passengers generally hate regional jets. They tend to be small, cramped, noisy, and passengers can't get their bags into the overhead bins, which are very small in regional jets. Embraer looked at the problem and said it didn't have to accept these compromises. Because the planes can be redesigned in a different way using their double bubble technology, they can design a regional jet that is as economic for the airlines as the traditional regional jet, but is also much better for passengers.
This is a sophisticated company, obviously in a high-tech field. It is competitive. And of course, sure, it has been subsidized over the years, but so has Bombardier, and so have Airbus and Boeing.
The very obstacles that make it hard to do business in emerging economies can actually create competitive advantage for the firms who learn to overcome the obstacles, Professor Guillen has found.
It's good preparation for life. It builds character. But most importantly, it makes you essentially look for a, efficient solution to whatever problems comes up. Because they were operating in markets or in countries in which the transportation system was good. You couldn't get the supplies on time. You wouldn't be able to find the appropriate suppliers, so you would need to look for them. You wouldn't be able to find enough managers. So these are companies that have learned the hard way how to run a business. And so when they enter developed markets where everything is easy, and of course they win big because they've learned how to be very efficient in all of these other institutional contexts in which life is much, much harder. Another very important part is that, or component of their advantages or their strategy, is that they have developed the ability to come up with products or services for niches in the market. And they know how to move very fast from product design into product development and then manufacturing and distribution. And I think it has become a key.
An example is Good Baby, the Chinese producer of children's toys and baby products. In 1989, a school headmaster used a small bank loan to turn an ailing tool factory into a baby stroller manufacturer that has for years produced low-cost strollers for the world market. The company sells more than 1,600 items in 15 categories, including strollers, beds, clothing, car seats, toys, and diapers.
Good Baby is an innovation machine. It creates a new product every 12 hours. That's more than 700 products each year. Good Baby, although based in China, has tailored its products to meet the needs of local consumers. So if you were to find a Good Baby stroller in Scandinavia, it would have that beautiful, sleek Scandinavian design. When you go buy a Good Baby stroller in Japan, it does exactly what the Japanese want. It folds up to the smallest possible space. And when you buy a Good Baby stroller in the United States, it looks more like an SUV. It's large and has plenty of room for cup holders.
No doubt that the multinationals that bought expensive strollers from faraway China and rebranded them for sale in Europe and the US never imagined what a global powerhouse they were helping to create.
The challenges are growing very quickly. Over the last 3 years, the challenges have grown at an average rate of 30% per year, which is more than 3 times the speed of some of the fastest growing companies in the developed world. In spite of their rapid growth, the challenges are very profitable. The average profitability in 2006 was 17%, while the average profitability for the S&P 500 companies was only 14%.
The job of the CEO, the job of the corporate strategist, I think has become even more complex because now you have to gather information from many more places around the world. And you've got to do it fast because some of these companies are growing very quickly to become major competitors in their respective industries.
These emerging challengers and others like them are successfully selling to competitive global markets, but they also have an edge when it comes to selling on their home turf. The challengers are in a better position to understand the local environment, culture, and consumers, and the ins and outs of reaching them. For example, Bharti Airtel, an Indian mobile phone operator, found an ingenious way to distribute SIM chips and prepaid phone cards to its customers in the city of Mumbai. The company created a delivery system by tapping into the existing network of some 5,000 dabbawallas or lunchbox carriers. These couriers deliver thousands of hot meals every day from the homes of workers in the distant suburbs to their offices downtown without mixing up or losing a meal, and then return the utensils to the workers' homes in the afternoon. The reliability of these couriers without using any computers exceeds that of Six Sigma, and they keep the cost of their service low by using public transportation. Now, along with curries and naan, the dabbawallas deliver phone cards and SIM chips. Exciting new solutions to the developed world's biggest problems are also coming from unexpected places, even in healthcare. Aravind Eye Care in Tamil Nadu, India, has become the world's largest provider of cataract surgery, performing over 250,000 surgeries a year. In 1976, Dr. Venkataswamy, known as Dr. V, began pursuing a goal of wiping out needless blindness.
Well, Dr. V and Arvind looked at the world very differently as I thought about cataract surgery. And rather than a traditional hospital process in which surgeries begin at about 7 o'clock in the morning and equipment only operates till about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they decided that they should take advantage of the availability of equipment 24 hours a day. And so they've changed the entire process of surgery. And in cataract surgery, they operate an assembly line. And the patients stay still, but the doctors move from bed to bed, doing exactly what they need to do at that point in time. And interestingly enough, Arvind Eye Care sells its product for about 40% of what it might cost in the United States. Gives away 60% of its products, that is, it gives free surgeries to 60% of the patients that it sees, and still makes a profit. This ingenious approach by Arvind and Dr. V allows them to cure hundreds of thousands of people of needless blindness, many of those who got that surgery for free.
Globality will affect everyone, everywhere, and everything. And that means you. One day, it may be your company that Tata Group wants to acquire, your child calling home from Shanghai, your job moving to Mexico City, and your brand new nano car gleaming in the driveway. And if you learn to compete with everyone from everywhere for everything, you might find globality offers you greater opportunities than you could have ever imagined.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Let me just send you guys the links. So this is the link to the second video clip we showed. It's from Wharton Business School, which is one of the top-notch business schools in the world. It's very interesting. And this is the other one I sent you. I showed you. There you go. So, basically, these movies were sort of wrapping up the importance of globality, how to go global, why we should do business everywhere with everyone, like showing even in like India, in different places, how innovative ideas are actually working for people and companies and make them succeed locally and internationally. So basically the idea of global business is very predominant.
and that's why it's very important. So I sent you the link for those of you who are not able to hear or maybe see the video. So just wanted you guys to watch it later again, and also you can see the recorded version of the class again. Is there any questions before we end the class? So don't forget, please, to send me your assignments. Thank you so much, everyone. For those of you who are celebrating Nowruz, happy Nowruz to all of you. We will not have a class next week because of the Persian New Year celebration. So I hope you have a great time with your family. If you're driving, I hope you drive safe and have a great time. I'll see you a week after that. So Happy New Year, Happy Nowruz, and all the very best to all of you.